Alright, so now that the main game is done, it's time to go over all the extra stuff in Knightmare and Dreamland, with the exception, of course, of the 3 minigames that we've already seen, because, of course, we've already seen them. Should be obvious. So, first up, we have Extra Mode. Now, if you'll remember, we got Extra Mode after completing the main game 100%. Now, Extra Mode isn't exactly a staple of the Kirby series, however, it does appear fairly often. Basically, its purpose is to make the main game harder. In this case, as it says, we only have 3 health for this. Now, some games do have quite a few changes when you play Extra Mode. This isn't one of them. Basically, the whole 3 vitality thing is pretty much the only thing. In addition, the Pet Brews will also only heal 1 health at a time, I believe. I think I might have seen it heal 2 at some points, but for the most part, it only heals a single point of health, and of course, Maxim Tomatoes still fill it up completely. Now, Kirby's Dreamland, which was the first game in the series, actually had an extra mode, and it was actually really tough. Like, Kirby's Dreamland was about half an hour long, really, but Extra Mode really made it difficult. You had the same amount of health, but enemies did double damage and move faster, making the game pretty damn hard, actually. And, of course, there's also the bosses, which actually changed. Not so in this game. Everything is pretty much the same, except, of course, for the whole health thing, which, to be fair, does make it a bit more difficult, because you've probably noticed at least a few times that I've been at half health, but at those times, it's not really that big a deal, but here, yeah, you can die relatively easily. Still, though, it's not really that difficult in Extra Mode. The only other thing that's really changed is that minigames start at level 3, not at level 1. Alright, so here I am at the last boss. As I mentioned before, no real changes other than the fact that you have a lot less health, and Pet Brews only give you 1 health, but the thing is, there are plenty of Maxim Tomatoes, so that second part really doesn't matter that much. So, all in all, this mode really isn't that much more difficult than regular mode. Certainly it's nowhere near as difficult as Kirby's Dreamland's Extra Mode, which actually made that game difficult in any way, shape, or form. Oh, and by the way, if you're looking to get extra lives off minigames, I'd actually suggest going for Air Grind, because the AI in that minigame doesn't really improve, it's only that there are more black rails, and as long as you don't suck at the game like I once did, you should be able to get lives easily. But anyway, Moon's gonna explode. I'm anticipating it this time, so fly away, Kirby! And this time, we get this awesome screen! Seriously, I love it! This is what you get for getting 100% in Extra Mode. The game just tells you you're amazing a bunch of times. I love it! Seriously, that is an awesome screen. But anyway, since the ending is the same, I'm just gonna fast forward through this. Alright, so, in addition to having a new completion screen, we also get new credits. Now, I didn't actually mention it before because I was giving my final thoughts for the game, but I really like the credits for this game. Both versions, actually, because they just show off fighting bosses with abilities you probably wouldn't take into them. Like this, for example. I don't think I'd take Parasolin to fight, well, any boss, really. But even if I did, I don't really think I'd have as clever a use for it. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering where all these mini-bosses are, they are basically the easy version of the tower that I went through, but yeah, I didn't actually show that off, so you didn't see them. Well, anyway, I'm gonna forward through these credits too, since you've already seen the credits, and while this is cool, it's not really that important to watch. And with that, we actually unlock a new mode. Although technically it is a minigame as it says, but it is actually pretty cool, but it's going to require us to run through the game again. So, let's check it out real quick. So, go into Subgames, and we have Knightmare. Alright, as it says down there, you can't save. This is basically just a speedrun version of the normal game, except you play as Meta Knight, and it is actually pretty awesome. See all these moves? This is pretty much all the moves Meta Knight had in his own fight. I think he didn't have the slide, though. I could be wrong, but I don't really see him use that at all. In addition, he can also fly. However, the thing is, Meta Knight can dash faster than Kirby can, however, his flight is actually a lot slower, so that is one downside. You're going to want to fly less. But in flat areas like this, Meta Knight has an advantage. In addition, of course, I'm sure you've noticed, basically Meta Knight plays as though he were in a extra mode game. You only have 3 health, pet brews only give you 1 health, etc, etc. It's not too bad, really. In addition, it should be obvious, but Meta Knight can't lose his sword. It would be kind of stupid if he could. However, he can also do many of the things that Kirby needs different abilities for. For example, he can break metal blocks or light cannon fuses. Oh, and unlike Kirby, he doesn't get to do any minigames. He can't do the jump game, he can't do minigames like Bomb Rally, so you get a lot less opportunities to actually get lives. And given this is an extra mode, that could be a problem. However, Meta Knight is pretty awesome, so you shouldn't have too terribly much trouble, I think. Meta Knight is actually really good. Oh, actually, watch this. So apparently the designers were extremely lazy, or somehow completely missed that, and didn't bother animating his wings. So basically, Meta Knight does no work whatsoever, and the wind just carries him through. Yeah. So either the designers or Meta Knight are extremely lazy. Could be both, really. Actually, to be honest, I'm kind of doing a terrible job of speedrunning. I'm going to go through this whole thing again. Actually, I'm probably going to redo World 1 once I'm done recording this, because I would like to at least get a decent time. However, just one thing, you don't actually get anything from beating Knightmare. So, to be honest, you probably shouldn't be going for all of the switches and things, because, well, they're kinda useless. And of course, in addition to most other things being useless, museums, also a waste of time. Because, you know, Meta Knight can't get abilities. That should be obvious. Like I said, I'm kinda doing a terrible job of speedrunning this. You might be able to tell, but Meta Knight was kind of built to sort of be able to rush through things. Like, he can attack while he's dashing, and He's pretty damn fast as long as he's not flying, so you can't really cheap out stages as well, but you still have to do it fast, so I do actually like how Meta Knightmare was built. It is pretty cool, it's just the fact that you have to play through the entire game twice just to unlock this is kind of annoying. Honestly, I kind of wish it unlocked with extra mode, just because, you know, I've already beat the game twice and now I'm going to beat it again. Granted, I don't have to do as much and it's sort of streamlined, but still, it's kind of annoying. However, on the other hand, Wispy Woods, Wispy over here, he is still extremely easy. In fact, most bosses are pretty easy because Meta Knight's sword is as strong or almost as strong as a hammer, so bosses, piece of cake. And you know what, to end it off, might as well show off the death animation, and right, I mean, why not? So basically, if you die, Meta Knight explodes, and his mask falls into the abyss. And that's pretty much it for Meta Knightmare. Okay, I lied, there is a bit more to Meta Knightmare. It should be obvious, but Meta Knight really wasn't made to wield the Star Rod, and as such, he doesn't fight Knightmare, so once you get King DDD, that's pretty much the end. DDD can be kinda tough, especially when all you have to work with is a sword, but he really isn't that bad. In fact, I'm doing a pretty good job against him. There, he's down. And that's the end of Meta Knightmare, and I got 50 minutes on the dot. That was actually pretty awesome. And all you get for beating this mode is Meta Knight staring off into the distance. To be honest, it kinda sucks that you don't really get a reward, but at the same time, if not for the fact that I had to play through this game twice just to get this would actually be a pretty cool mode. I like playing as Meta Knight. Alright, so now that that stuff's done, there's actually one more sub-game to do. As you can see, it saves your record there, but we still have to do Boss Endurance. Alright, Boss Endurance appears in almost every Kirby game, or at least the main series games, and this one has possibly the most amazing introduction ever. Seriously, those last two lines of that description are great. Oh, Kirby, what are you fighting for, you scamp? Anyway, unlike most of the boss rushes, you don't actually get to choose any abilities beforehand, and not only that, you don't actually get any healing items in between rounds. I believe the same goes for Kirby 64? I believe it works in the same way. Basically, the game just throws you into the boss battles. You go through them in order, however, you're forced to just pick up whatever abilities you get on the way, and in this game at the very least, that's not very many abilities. In addition, of course, you only have 0 lives, but that kinda goes without saying. Most of the abilities you get in this fight right here aren't really too useful, unless, of course, you can get Mike before you beat Paint Roller and get a few uses out of it for the next bosses. You know, Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright and all that. I wouldn't suggest picking up Wheel, definitely not Ball. There aren't really any good abilities for Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright. However, Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright themselves do have good abilities, so there's that. Oof. Also, Big Hit is a very, very bad idea. I know Kirby bosses are generally pretty easy by themselves, but when fighting them in a row, it gets really difficult, just due to the fact that some bosses can be kind of erratic and fast and all that, and just the fact that once you actually have to conserve health, getting hit by easy bosses is not a good thing. Because if you even get hit by them, yeah, that's just an unneeded hit. That is a chance to die to a somewhat harder boss later. And in this situation, there are only two relatively difficult battles, DDD and Meta Knight, neither of which are that difficult on their own, but yeah, Meta Knight in particular is a complete bastard. These guys aren't too bad, however, they do give you good abilities, but to make Kracko easier, it's best you don't have any abilities when you go to him, just so you can swallow Cape easier, because you actually do have to go through that pre-battle segment where you're jumping up the clouds, which kinda sucks, but what are you gonna do? Does mean you get high jump, and high jump is fairly good. And wow, the hitboxes on that Hadouken must be really bad. You are also being timed for this. I bring this up because I'm not really doing a very good job of going fast. And I keep making mistakes because, yeah, I keep launching a star out and then either the beam or the other star actually repels, well, not really repels, but it stops my other shot, so yeah, that's kind of a waste of perfectly good projectiles. So yeah, unfortunately those other guys took a little while to take care of, but Krakow here, as long as you don't screw up, shouldn't be too bad. It is fairly easy to screw up, and of course, if you fall into the pit, you're dead. That is, as always, a one-hit kill, and you really can't afford that in Boss Rush. Krakow himself, as usual, really isn't that difficult, because high jump is pretty damn awesome. I did get hit, though, which, again, not really a fan of getting hit. It's very unnecessary. Okay, I definitely shouldn't take Heavy Mole Tank on with high jump, because that's not a good idea. Actually, Heavy Mole can be fairly difficult. Okay, he's not that bad, but yeah, definitely don't want to eat one of those. Actually, you should take a hammer, definitely, because hammer is very useful for, well, this guy and DDD. Except I wasn't exactly in a position to actually take it this time. I must admit, he's actually kind of playing this smart. He's trying to take it very, very slowly, which is kind of preventing me from actually grabbing those. So yeah, this is taking more time, which is unfortunate, but I don't care that much about getting all that good a time. I just want to survive, because honestly, that's difficult enough. Alright, hammer. I gotta make sure not to kill myself with this, because, as you might have noticed, you can dig holes with hammer. You hit the walls with it, you can make them go away, like that. You can destroy the environments, that's not good. And of course, I could always fling myself into him, but luckily that didn't happen. Alright, here's Meta Knight. Again, not that difficult on his own, but he is a complete bastard in boss endurance, just due to the fact that his most dangerous skill is walking into you, pretty much. You basically just have to get into a really good pattern with him. He moves somewhat slowly, but if you're not careful, you will run into him. He does actually take a surprisingly long time if you're playing it carefully, but you don't want to take any more hits. Okay, I didn't get hit there, so that's good. Now comes DDD, and of course, the game is nice enough to actually give you back the ability you had beforehand, though, to be fair, Sword wouldn't be that bad. I mean, I took him on with Sword before. Unfortunately, it seems I'm very sloppy right now, possibly due to the fact that I am kind of angry at Meta Knight for having to fight him repeatedly, and now I'm just getting extremely careless, and if I'm any more careless, then I am dead. That could have ended badly. And of course, we still have to fight Knightmare. Okay, that's kind of unfair. I mean, really? Goes through the animation and the timer still goes up. Thankfully, Knightmare is a very easy boss, because otherwise, I'd be in trouble. Actually, to be honest, I'm still nervous about fighting him at 1 health. It's never good to do a boss endurance, because you're always nervous, and when you're nervous, you screw up. That's how this sort of thing works. Boss endurance is very easy to screw up. Ooh, see right there, I almost got nailed somehow. Guess I'm not really paying attention to his projectiles. Just want to get this over with. Oh, see, I almost missed that again. I am not really paying enough attention to this. I keep missing shots. I swear they blend in, really. And again, it's me probably not paying attention too much. Alright, well, that's done with. Of course, we still have to fight his second form, which, to be fair, I do screw up against this form a lot at times, because there are those times when he sort of leans back, and like an idiot, I just sort of jump upwards, and Again, we're going through this entire animation, and the timer's still going up. Oh god, my speedrun skills are awful. I can't will myself past cutscenes that are unskippable. Wow, he's really using that attack a lot. That's actually kinda nice, really. Because seriously, I need him to do that. I don't need him to do this, though, because I could fall into one of his projectiles accidentally, and of course there's the whole thing about his hitbox being kinda finicky. Really not good when you're trying to do a speedrun through all the bosses. Not good for doing this as fast as possible. And he's doing that thing again. Please do that again, dude. No, he's gonna do this. Oh, but I killed him anyway. Alright, that's boss endurance. Luckily, the timer actually stops for this. So that wasn't too bad, right? Okay, I'm lying, that was awful. Seriously, Meta Knight's a bastard. And all it says is that we're the champion. I don't know, I think getting 100% in extra mode was kind of better. Seriously, it told me I was awesome 4 times. I mean, being a champion's nice and all, but really not worth it. Alright, so, all that's really left is sound test, but you know how it is. There's nothing really too special about this. You go through music, there are a bunch of songs, there are like 200-something sounds, but that's pretty much it. I've gone over basically everything you can do in this game. However, that isn't quite the end of this yet. There is one more thing I would like to do for these games, but it won't actually involve this game itself. You can probably figure it out what it is, but yeah, that'll go up soon. So, that's been Kirby's Knightmare in Dreamland, and I guess for the time being, just listen to some music. Oh man, listen to that music.